The Titans beat the Tigers 36-28. I believe that score flattered the Tigers a little bit. They came back toward the end and put some points on. Now we're getting all sorts of talk about what is wrong with the Tigers. They're down close to the bottom of the ladder. They can't get a win at the moment. They're getting a lot of points racked up against them. Let me out 133353. But we always lay our cards on the table here. Oops, you're a Tigers man. What's wrong?
Well, they missed the kick last night. They weren't at the races, and the Gold Coast just went bang, 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 and it's 18-0. It's ground.
It was embarrassing. It was embarrassing. Like, for the Tigers to not turn up again to a performance which was supposed to honour one of their great warriors, to go out and be so lethargic and weak in their approach to the game, I don't know what goes through their head. Someone said to me yesterday when I was watching the game, do they need to get rid of the coach? I said, they don't need to get rid of the coach. They need to get rid of the players. The players are the guys that are losing the game. Like, the coach knows how to coach. And I wrote about this earlier in the week about the mental toughness it takes in the game. The Tigers have got no mental strength. And the minute Michael Maguire, and I feel sorry for Michael Maguire, the minute Michael Maguire tries to toughen them up a little bit, they whinge. He trains too hard. So Michael Maguire's now in this space where he can't train too hard because his job future it could be on the line because the players can whinge. You never hear of anyone coming out of Melbourne complaining that they've trained too hard.
Because too big, and that's the problem. And Wayne Bennett's too big, right? So you can't really bait.
But they train as hard.
Absolutely.
They train harder. They train harder in Melbourne. My point, they train harder in Melbourne than they do at the Tigers. But no one whinges because they know it brings success, and that's the price you got to pay to have success.
Well,
but no, mate, the Tigers want to be known as footballers. They just don't want to act like footballers.
Yeah, but with respect though, you talk about Craig Bellamy and Wayne Bennett and Robbo, all that. But Michael Maguire's a premiership winning coach here and in the UK.
Yeah, and in both stages rebuilt the clubs.
Yep.
But what he's got is he's got too big a group of players who have got soft underbellies.
The club's got a soft underbelly. The club's always had a soft underbelly. The only grand final they won was in 05.
Yeah.
And the Cowboys, they beat them 50, and it was high scoring. That's when it changed, and it wasn't defence orientated. It was attack.
It was a shootout.
And
they didn't beat them by 50 in the GF.
But in the first final, they did.
Yep.
Right. But that year, it was more of a touch football competition.
Yeah, it was.
From my memory.
By the fact that the Tigers and the Cowboys were the two teams in the grand final. And the Tigers earlier in the year, after 5 rounds, were 66-1 to win the comp.
Yep.
They just went on this streak. But look, I've spoken to some people at the club who say they're right behind Mike Maguire. They believe in what he's doing, and they're going to stick with him through the long haul. The only way the Tigers will ever turn around is if they stick with Michael Maguire.
The Dragons had the same problem. Because Wayne Bennett asked me, he goes, what's wrong with the Dragons? I said, I always felt that we never got respect, that there was always a soft underbelly.
Yeah.
So he bought Neville Costigan and Bo Scott and all those guys. The Tigers need a no-nonsense, like a Nathan Brown. Get those guys in there that are no-nonsense. That drive your standards, because the standards that he wants, nobody is prepared to drive it for him there. And you got to go buy those players that have that standard, that said no, that had the cuts, that had a dad clip them around the ears and tell them no. And they've had setbacks in their life that when they get to a game of rugby league and someone scores a try, it doesn't worry them.
Yeah, too often. See, I reckon because of all this rubbish sports science, which tells you where you got your GPS on you, strap on, and the trainer comes over and says, listen, mate, you've already run 7 Ks this week, so you can sit down now.
Yeah.
Okay?
Don't forget the red dot and the blue dot and the green dot.
All this stuff. And all you're doing is finding excuses to. They're physically sharp, but they're mentally, I wouldn't say they're mentally weak, but they're mentally not tough. And so what's happening is you're not breeding mentally tough footballs. The Storm do, because they train tough. They go to the threshold and they red line. And when it gets tough like that, Bellamy says, you're still going. And he doesn't let them quit. And so that's why when the Storm are playing a game of footy and their backsides are hanging out, they are still mentally tough enough to do their job and stay within their structure. Whereas the Tigers, they just go to pieces.
Well, they turn up for each other.
Yep. Tigers go to pieces because they're mentally tough. They start looking after themselves. What you got to do is you got to start. I think there's a really bad precedent at most clubs whereby coming through the junior ranks, because they're trying to apply all the latest sports science, you're getting all these superbly fit, finely tuned athletes who are mentally susceptible. So they're getting to first grade and they're not mentally tough.
Well, I remember Wayne Bennett one. I remember one of my coaches one day. There was a guy in the physio goes, "Listen, mate, I think he probably needs a week off." Wayne goes, "Don't tell him, I'll tell him." Yeah. "Hey, mate, spoke to the physio. He said you're right. He's got to tough it out." He played.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just don't tell him. Don't go get an X-ray. You don't know your arm's broken. Type of thing. Don't give them an excuse, and then they don't give them an excuse.
The Tigers are always looking for an excuse not to have a go. There's a reason they lost. Why they lose now? Because Madge is training them too hard. Forgive me, it's not Madge's fault.